bourbon fans. This is our latest video. Today's video is going to be on weeded bourbons. So just like we did with our rye video a few weeks ago, we are doing a weeded video the same way. These are bourbons that we can get, weeded bourbons that we can get at a fairly decent price, etc., readily available, those kinds of things. So we're not looking to go too high end with this. We want to give our thoughts, opinions, etc., on a variety of things about each one. So that you can use that information to decide maybe you want to go out and try some new things. So today's panel, we have some new people on our panel today, starting here with...
I'm Zachary Smith. I'm a level 3 whiskey sommelier and instructor with Whiskey University.
JR with the Whiskey and Rock podcast.
MJ with Whiskey University.
Bobby Lee with Whiskey University.
So we have some new panels. I'm curious to see these two. I'll be blunt. I'm really excited about this interaction. They're both probably two of the bigger bourbon nerds that I know, and I think that it's going to be interesting to see the collaboration and the comments and things. So, guys, let's start. We are going to go across the board here, starting with our first weeded bourbon. Today's going to be Larceny. Our second will be Wilderness Trail. The third will be Maker's Mark. It's nice little Christmas sweater there. Thank you, Makers, for that. Bardstown, and the latest one of the releases, which is the Castle and Key from this year. So, which we will discuss at the end. So let us start with Larceny. I think we've probably all had small batch Larceny before, but I think it's probably one of the more staple weeded bourbons in the world today. So.
This tends to be most people's entry into weeded bourbons just because of both price point, sheer availability. There's not a liquor store I've ever seen that doesn't have this.
Right.
So.
And it has a new design. We don't have the new design bottle with us today, but it does have a new design to it. So when you are looking for it on the shelf, it may look a tiny bit different than it does sitting here. So, but it's still the same juice and the same bottle. So. Nose, to me, it's quintessential weeded bourbon.
Mm-hmm.
Great notes on it.
So for the general viewers, for the most part at least, it's getting a little less and less now. The majority of bourbons are going to be corn, rye, and malted barley. If they're weeded, very oftentimes they're going to advertise it on the bottle in some way, shape, or form. So big differences. You're not going to get as much spice typically. You're going to get some of those kind of softer, sweeter notes. It is a little bit drier on the palate, generally towards the end.
So. Yeah. And we're starting to see more weededs in the market today.
Yeah, especially on the craft side.
Yeah, I mean, like we've all known about Larceny and Makers and things like that have been out for a bit longer. Makers, of course, I think probably the most longevity one on the table. But weeded bourbons in the market today are starting to really expand out. I think everybody's starting to have one that's come out. And of course, bourbon, we can't just turn around on a new product. It takes a little bit of time to get something out there. So, we're starting to see those kind of hit the market here in the past few years. So I'm very excited to see where some of the weeded stuff goes. So, thoughts on the palate?
Very sweet.
Oh yeah,
Get a hint of grain,
mm-hmm.
Which that may be part of the youthfulness of it. But I mean, it's a, as you said, it's the gateway to weeded. So it's a very enjoyable sip.
It does hang around a little oiliness on the finish too.
Yeah, get some good legs on the glass.
So it just sits there on your mouth, and that is just a very smooth, easy drinking.
Yeah. And a 92 proof, I think that's a big contribution to the wheat. It just makes it a little bit softer to go down instead of an 80 proof.
Well, it gives a little bit more.
Yeah.
There's a little more to it. I think a little more to it from moving it from an 80 to a 92, which, of course, Larceny, we get to the barrel picks of those. Mm-hmm. The barrel proofs of those, man, some of those are just amazingly good. So if you see those, don't discount those either, because they just keep getting better.
They really do. Every year just a little bit better.
Yeah. Bro. Maybe we'll sample some of that later. But Larceny, thoughts? Thumbs up?
Very much.
Yeah, I gotta say thumbs up on that one.
Solid.
So bourbon number 2, Wilderness Trail. So Wilderness Trail, of course, has been doing some amazing things. I've been really pleased with, I think, just about everything I've had from them for the most part. So this is their weeded bourbon. I believe this bottle happens to be a store pick from
Cool Springs Wine and Spirits.
Yeah, Cool Springs Wine and Spirits in Nashville, Tennessee. So this is their, although the bottle without the sticker on the side looks exactly the same. So if you are looking for it out there, this is exactly what you'll see. But this is Wilderness Trail's weeded bourbon.
So this one kicks up the wheat just slightly. Larceny's relatively that 20% wheat mash bill. Wilderness Trail, we're looking at about 24% wheat. So it's going to be similar in a lot of respects, but it's got its own components to it.
This one's different on the nose, though.
Yeah,
It's very different on the nose from what most wheateds
Yeah.
that I've had. So, and I admit I've not had their wheated bourbon. This is my first sip of this.
And this is a cast strength as well.
Yeah,
Sweet.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it's sweet.
This is a jump up, but
it feels a lot more
Yeah.
forward on the nose.
And aged 4 years, 11 months on this particular bottle. And one thing I think they do is very interesting. They talk a lot about their yeast strains at Wilderness Trail. This is yeast strain Firm Pro 1, which doesn't really mean anything to me. Maybe it means something to you. I have no idea. But again, the proof level on this is at 115. So it is a little higher on the proof level. But nose-wise, man, it's like sweet, really sweet.
It feels, even onto the palate too, it feels a lot more candied. That
Yes.
candied
Yes.
corn, that that slight creaminess to it.
I'm getting some vanilla on the nose.
Yeah, this is different. This is good.
Wilderness Trail I have fallen in love with. I stumbled into their distillery. I was just driving through Kentucky and just typed in distilleries, seeing where they were. It's like, I've never heard of them. Let's go try it out. I have fallen in love with Wilderness Trail.
How long ago was this?
Probably, I want to say right before COVID. It's probably about 4 years.
Okay. So yeah, but that's about right because now they have recently they were purchased last year, 2023.
I believe so. Yeah, by Campari.
Campari.
So,
So, but it doesn't seem like they've really messed with much. I mean, it seems like they're just sort of letting Wilderness Trail continue to do what they were doing, and they're really big on their yeast strains. I do know that, and a lot of experimental stuff with their yeast strains and things like that. So, this is definitely a success. I mean, this is fantastic.
That's really good.
So my understanding, I'm not 100% positive on this. What I have heard is they originally had with the yeast, whenever anyone had like a bad yeast or something went wrong, the distillers would take it to their plant, I guess, or their scientists, and they'd figure out what happened. And then they were like, hey, we're doing all this stuff. Why don't we start making our own? And then that's how they became Wilderness Trail and their distillery. And it is wonderful.
yeah, Wilderness Trail or Firm Solutions, they're kind of other company that does the yeast. They've supplied yeast strains for hundreds of distilleries and breweries over the years, and they still do. So it's really interesting. Wilderness Trail started out essentially as an idea of like, hey, we're going to be an educator distillery for other brands, and then they just like, no, we're actually good at what we're doing, so we're going to just run with it ourselves.
Well, and they've got some pretty smart guys there. I
Oh,
think one of them was an engineer, chemical engineer, if I'm not mistaken. So they definitely have some intelligent guys working at Wilderness Trail, and they're doing some really cool things. And I will tell you, if this is my first sip of this wheated, of their wheated, and this is very solid. I have several bottles of their other stuff, their rye and bourbons, etc. So if you've not had Wilderness Trail, this is definitely one you want to give it a shot. So I'm going to Jeff, why don't you talk about your podcast here really quick while we start to pour the makers.
Yeah. So co-host of the Whiskey and Rock podcast with my co-host D-Rock. And we release episodes just about every Friday. And we go in depth with distillery interviews, reviews of products, and interviews with rock stars. So look for us on Spotify and Apple Music and wherever else you get your podcasts.
Who have been some of the rock stars you guys have had recently?
Recently, we just had Donnie and Johnny Van Zant from Van Zant, and better known as the lead singer of Johnny is the lead singer of Leonard Skinner, and Donnie the lead singer of 38 Special, or former lead singer of 38 Special.
Okay.
So that was a blast.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. So some really good guests. If you haven't given the podcast a listen, definitely take a listen to that. It's excellent. And I'm going to talk about a little bit about Whiskey University. So obviously 3 Whiskey University instructors that are here and guys that are definitely taking classes there. The university for me personally has been amazingly good as far as just friendships and relationships and classes and etc. I cannot say enough about it. If you are interested in Whiskey University or you want to hear more about what's going on with the university, please reach out to me. I'm more than happy to put something in the comments. I have tried to respond to comments from previous videos, and I will definitely reach out to you. Otherwise, whiskeyunev.com online, and you can look it up and take a peek at what we're kind of all about. So, yes, every time I say I'm with Whiskey University in public, I get people that go, "Is that really a thing?" Yes, it's an actual thing. And it's actually fantastic. So we will be. So I'm warning you in Kentucky, Bardstown, in April 2025. just understand we're there. So it's gonna be fun. So I'm really looking forward to that one. So our next selection, I think, is maybe what I think everyone thinks of quintessential weeded bourbons, like maybe the first thing that comes to mind, and that's Maker's Mark. Also, the most gifted bourbon at Christmas. So for those of you that needed a little trivia in your life, Maker's Mark is gifted at Christmas more than any other bourbon.
Especially if they're going to be given the nice little sweaters to
Yeah,
go with it.
so to get some of the little perky things that you got to get from Makers, and they don't do the sweaters anymore. This was years ago that I got this, but you've got to get in with their club, so to speak. So I am an ambassador for Maker's Mark. My barrel, I think, is a couple of more years away from maturity, but when you do become a Maker's ambassador, they assign you a barrel with, I think, 7 or 8 other people, something like that.
I think it's
And
like
then
20 now.
Yeah.
Is it 20 now?
20,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, mine's got like 8 or 11, so I guess it's gotten more popular.
More for you.
Yeah.
100%.
So they will invite you to Maker's Mark when your barrel does mature. And from what I haven't experienced it yet, but from some of the guys that I've experienced, I know that have, they roll the red carpet, and it's pretty cool day. So you get to dip your own bottles and the opportunity to buy your own barrel and those kinds of things. So definitely, if you're interested in any of that stuff with some of the clubs, and like I think most of these bourbons now have some sort of email club or whatever. Makers is probably one of the few that I would say if you can become an ambassador with them, still do it. I mean, I think my Christmas gift this year was an invitation to a certain party, or I think I got a free movie or something with this year. It's not as like it used to be, but I think their membership is obviously gone up quite substantially during the wonderful bourbon craze, and Makers has been around a long time. So to Bill Samuels and group, cheers. So let's talk about Maker's Mark. Very weedy on the nose. It was just wheat. It's a weeded bourbon.
This bright cherry though just
Yeah.
throws right in your face.
Cherry and a little bit of cinnamon.
So you get the cinnamon on the palate. I don't get it on the nose as staunchly, but it definitely on the palate for sure. So,
Makers is still, in my opinion, one of the best weeded you can get. I love Makers.
Yeah.
but I mean, I think they may be one of the more original weeded bourbons that's out there. So,
And every Makers product you have, cask strength, cellar age, however you want to look at it, it is all the exact same mash bill. Just how they age it, or if they put it in the cellar, or if they add some wood finishing staves, it is the exact same mash bill. That's all they do.
So when you talk about Maker's Mark, you definitely have to talk about Margie Samuels. Margie, of course, people say that the reason people buy their first bottle of Maker's is because of Margie, the second bottle because of Bill. She is the idea and the thought process behind the dip and the wax. She actually came up with the idea in her kitchen. She is behind the logo, etc. She is just a marketing genius. And she helped Bill sell Maker's Mark. And obviously, it has become a quite world-renowned grounds, but she is in the Bourbon Hall of Fame, and one of the first women that really kind of made a huge difference and impact in the bourbon world. But this guy could probably talk to you for ages about some of that stuff.
Yeah,
So
and it just shows if you do something right from the beginning, it's gonna be good. It's like sweater aside because that's beautiful, but I mean just everything about this bottle it tells you that it's quality. It's a nice gift. They're still doing an old school die cut to be able to make these labels. It's not a massive machine. The red wax is all hand dipped. And for a bottle that's like $30, it's a fantastic buy for what they go with. It's iconic in its own shape. Really good at that. Even during the era when it really started coming into prominence, when bourbon was at an all-time low, Maker's Mark was like, no, we're not going to blend it. We're not going to proof it down. We're not going to do any of this. They literally went with an advertisement of it tastes expensive because it is. And just said, here you go. You either like it or you don't. And that's why it's still here.
yeah, they're still selling it for like $30 a bottle today.
Yeah.
So very successful brand, obviously. Beautiful distillery as well if you can get there. I have not eaten at the restaurant, but I understand the restaurant is also quite phenomenal. So if you get those opportunities, take advantage of them. The distillery at Christmas is gorgeous. I have experienced that. It's beautiful. So Makers. As far as what's in the bottle, though,
Wonderful.
yeah, I get a little cinnamon on the palate
Yeah.
to me, and everything happens sort of in the front of the mouth with this to me.
Yeah. It's nice and sweet. It's desserty. It doesn't linger too long, but it's what you get on the front end is fantastic.
And I definitely think this is probably a weeded bourbon that if you're not really a bourbon drinker, you can still thoroughly enjoy, which may be one of the reasons why it's so gifted. at Christmas time for parties and things. Of course, this is definitely something, and I think you see this on most like even random restaurant bars. You'll see Maker's Mark. It's pretty common up there. So, thoughts on Makers? I think no doubt Makers big thumbs up there.
Really good.
So it's when you start getting to the expressions, I think it can definitely get even better. I have a friend who's a huge 46 fan, Charlie Kramer. How you doing? But Makers, definitely thumbs up. Give it a shot. Bardstown. So Bardstown for me is they're a definite experimental distillery. They do a ton of stuff. Some of it's a miss for me. Some of it's a hit. Some of it's a home run. Some of it's outstanding. So I admit I have not had this is their high week, I believe.
Yeah, it just came out this year.
Yeah. So
it's 36% wheat. So this is going to be the highest, I think, out of all the ones we have today.
And this is in their Origin series. So
this is their all their own juice.
Yeah,
it is.
It's their own.
Yeah, and you got to applaud that. Though. Like,
Yes.
they opened up in 2013. Granted, they had a lot of money backing them. It's
Yes.
but, they didn't release something that was 100% their own until it was 6 years old, which is just unheard of for any distillery these days.
It's definitely sweet on the nose.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm getting almost sugar cube on the nose. It is, man, yeah.
I get like this like sweet cinnamon bread with like brown butter on it. It's just
What's brown butter?
it's like that kind of butter that's got a little bit of like brown sugar and stuff like that into it, so it's already sweeter on it as is.
Talk about bourbon, we also talk about butter. It's the South. Butter makes everything better. So, even brown butter.
So that's definitely the most different, other than the cask strength
Yeah.
one. But that's definitely the most different of the other three at about the same proof level.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
This is probably my favorite weeded.
This is really good.
Yeah.
That wheat just shines through though. I mean, you know, that's the first grain
yeah.
you get. These other ones, I'm like, yes, they're very much wheaters, but like you get the corn, you get the creaminess of the corn grain. You know, that one, like the wheat is the first thing I think hits you.
It's all that hits me.
Yeah.
A little spicier note on the backside, but it's not like huge. It's just there.
It's got a wonderful finish.
Yeah.
What's the-
wonderful finish.
What's the finish you're getting on that? Because see, there's definitely something there I can't pick up on it though.
I will say like a light clove or a nutmeg or something with some kind of baking spice, but not a
Maybe
sharp
nutmeg.
spice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely, but it exists. It's definitely there.
Yeah.
So, I'm telling you, that's actually really good.
That just sits there on your tongue. That just sits
I'm
there.
really impressed with that.
Sweet, spicy. It's kind of everything you're looking for in a bourbon, but it's just a weeded.
106 proof, so solid proof, but not overwhelming by any means.
Yeah.
That may have to be on my bar here soon. That's pretty good. So,
Yeah, we did take a little bit of a price jump. You know, Larceny is at 25, 27 mark. Same with Makers up to 30. This I think is what 50, 55 right now.
something like
Yeah.
most of their Origin series bottles are in that.
Yeah, it's still
That typical
definitely
range.
affordable, especially for what you're getting.
So,
Man.
I think the Bardstown may have hit a home run there. So,
Yeah.
thumbs up, Bardstown. Good job. That's excellent. That's the first time I've had that. That's excellent.
Same
So,
here, and I'm pleasantly surprised with that.
Yeah, that's really good. So I've had several good bottles from them. So, yes, I'm surprised, but I'm surprised at exactly how good that is. So, the last bottle we're going to talk about today is Castle and Key. So Castle and Key released a wheated bourbon in 2024. It was their first wheated bourbon they've done. They kept with the same standard bottle and the same the cap that you could throw at someone and kill. So it's definitely a heavy cap. I mean it has some weight to it. But so they kept with that. They went with a red label for their wheated. I'll be honest with you. I tried this at a store. I tried this with you actually, and really wasn't. And no offense to Castle and Key, but their gin's excellent. Their gin is fantastic.
Yes.
Really big fan of their gin. The Restoration Ryes are okay.
Yeah.
Bourbon's
Not that
on,
great.
but this I have had. You guys want to go ahead and give yourselves a pour? We'll have that. But we tried this here together, and I was blown away by it. I was really surprised at how solid this was. So very, very excited that they did this. I think this might actually be my favorite non-gin Castle and Key bottle. Another beautiful distillery, by the way, if you get the opportunity to go that one, a lot of history there.
Yeah, it's
Beautiful grounds.
Yeah, it's the old Taylor distillery,
Yeah.
which was Colonel E.H. Taylor. So when he left what is now Buffalo Trace, he went and founded that, which was really the first distillery designed to be a tourist attraction. He built it intentionally as a castle to be,
Yep.
hey, let's have events here. He wanted to entertain presidents. I mean, his goal was to make this a tourist spot, and I think that's something that now all distilleries they're kind of building around that.
So I've seen
standpoint.
pictures of it, and it's absolutely beautiful. I've not had the opportunity
Oh,
to go to
good
it, but
there.
it is beautiful in the
Mhm.
pictures.
I took my wife. My wife loved it. I mean, she's not a bourbon girl, but she'll go on distillery tours with me typically. And that one was one from, from the start. She was just like, "This is beautiful." I mean, it definitely has a, it's a castle. So how often do you drive up on a castle? I mean, the only way you could have made it better was if it was on a horse or something. I mean, it was great. The grounds are beautiful. They've got gardens there. They're French gardens or English gardens are absolutely gorgeous. There's a fountain in the center. Again, just a gorgeous distillery if you actually go. And I think the way they do their tour is really interesting as well because they kind of talk about the history and they do a really good job talking about the history of the distillery because it's been through quite a bit. Up to today, it's been through a ton. And their samples at the end include some really good cocktails. So if you're a cocktail person, I will definitely tell you Castle and Keep's a good one. So, I mean, I'm not a cocktail guy. And the cocktail they served at the end was my favorite thing. They served us on the tour. It was awesome, actually. So, anyway, but Castle and Key weeded.
This reminds me of a more mature version of the Larceny. I get a lot of the same flavor profiles. I get the sweetness. I get some of the graininess that I get with the Larceny, but it feels better balanced, better put together.
The nose is a lot more grain forward
Yeah.
than a lot of these others have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could definitely.
When it comes to palate, I don't know, maybe it's just because it's right after that Bardstown.
But
I'm sorry, like it's good, but that Bardstown after that one,
See,
like
to me, I get even a little tobacco in this.
it just doesn't have the
I can see
finish of
that,
that
yeah.
Bardstown, and that I love the finish.
Yeah.
You give me a good finish, you're immediately going up on my board. So that right there, I mean, I want that finish after having that Bardstown now.
Man, I'm being so good right now. I just shut my mouth.
See this. I get the sweetness that gets brought back on that. Though it's the first thing I thought of. It's weird. It's like I love weird tasting notes. But like the first thing as soon as I got like the mid palate, I'm like reminded of that like white chocolate and like berry Subway cookie.
Know exactly what
Yeah,
you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly. It's that subtle like raspberry type flavor too, with like a little bit of like white chocolate and sugar cookie.
Every time I do tastings
Yeah.
with you, I always forget some of the stuff you can pull out of these, and it amazes me every time.
He is.
Yeah.
All I can tell you, I'm really, for those of you who don't know, we shoot more than one video in a day, and I'm really curious to see the interaction with them in our next one. But I mean, like Heon especially, this guy can pick up on stuff. It's just amazing. He's also, we'll tell you if you ever get by the store you work at.
Yeah, I work at a Dueling Grounds Distillery, which is another distillery that focuses on weeded bourbons up in Franklin, Kentucky.
Or get on his Facebook page or about cocktails.
Yeah, Z Smith Whiskey and Mixology post a cocktail post there every single week, as well as history of spirits. So always more nerdy stuff to learn.
Yes, and he is a hell of a good cocktail guy. Took my wife there, and everything he made, she was in love with. Just loved.
Appreciate that.
See, every time I go up and see him, he always just gives me scotch. He's trying to turn me into scotch. Sits down there, like, here's a 30-year scotch. Here's all this. So I was like, oh, okay, cool. Things I can't find. Awesome.
Yeah, if all I gave him was scotch, he wouldn't be here. But anyway, so I think the weeded bourbon from Castle and Key, to me, this is excellent.
Mm-hmm.
I remember being surprised, and again, I'm trying not to knock Castle and Key in any way because they do make good product, and their gin is, to me, excellent. Maybe one of the better gins, period. But I did not expect this weeded bourbon to be as accessible, as good. A lot of interesting notes, like you picked up on. It's really good, really solid. So if you get the opportunity to get that, pick that one up. I would also tell you, I think I've stated, try their gin.
Mm-hmm.
The gin's good. So of the 5, I think we already know your favorite.
Bardstown.
Yeah,
Which surprises me because I love proof, and I mean that Wilderness Trail is wonderful, but that Bardstown, I have not had before. That's definitely going to go on the bar.
Yeah, I may have to consider that. I will say it surprised me the most,
Yeah.
just because I really wasn't expecting. I've had some other Origin Series stuff before, but I hadn't had the weeded, and I think the last two were probably my favorite two stifts. Although I don't know, that Wilderness Trails to me was pretty good too. I hate agreeing with you though. Damn. I'm probably gonna have to take the Bardstown as well.
I'm Bardstown.
I-
That's my favorite weeded.
I think I'll have to agree. Those last two were probably the top two, and I think
Yeah.
that Bardstown would edge that out. So yeah.
There you have it. So we all agree with Bobby, which y'all gonna be started on how much that pisses me off.
It's
but-
okay. It will change later.
So the Bardstown Origin Series kind of won out amongst our standard weeders here today. So if you get the opportunity to pick this up, $55-$60, something like that.
$50.
Yeah,
Yeah,
$50
better.
somewhere in that particular range. Everyone here loved it, and there's some damn good pallets sitting here. So give it a shot, try it out. So again, we ask that you, if you like the video, comment, like and subscribe, or whatever I'm supposed to say on that stuff. I'm still not up to date on that. I'm sorry. We haven't even named this damn thing yet. So, but my kid told me that, yes, Dad, you're supposed to tell him like and subscribe. So do like and subscribe on the video if you've enjoyed it. This is one of several videos that we have shot. We'll have all of them up and going, and give them all a listen, give them all a watch, and let us know what your thoughts are. So again, till next time, thank you.